Welcome to Grit and Grace, the place where grit shapes you, grace carries you, and friends walk beside you through it all. I'm Pam Rader, and along with my co hosts Erin Payne and Brian Thiessen, we're here to laugh, cry, and tell the truth about what it means to be fully human. Think of us as your old friends. We share real stories, a little cowboy logic, and transformational tools. Because here's the thing, life's gonna kick your ass sometimes, but it'll also invite you to rise. And when you've got grit and grace and a few good friends, you will get through it all. So pull up a chair, grab your coffee, and buckle up. Welcome back to Grit and Grace with Pam and my good friend Erin Payne. Hey, Erin.
Hey, everybody. Happy to be here.
So today it's December 3rd we're recording this, and it's a different year for both Erin and I, and it's a different year for a lot of people. And I've been aware for many years that, this time of year is not happy for everyone. And that got us thinking about sadness, darkness, and what it has to teach us. And so we're going to dive into this idea today that every emotion has value, that every dark moment that we have, there's a portal, I think Erin called it. There's an opportunity as a portal into a deeper understanding of ourselves and for some kind of transformation. So instead of spending our lives trying to be happy, what if we learned to check into each emotion as it arises as a teacher? Erin, what do you have to say about that?
Well, first of all, when I was striving to be happy all the time, it was a tremendous amount of pressure. And I felt like if I wasn't happy, I was somehow failing.
Right.
So for me, it's much more authentic and in alignment to really look at, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I'm going to honor how I'm feeling. If it's sad, worry, doubt, like whatever. And for me, that's just much more in alignment, and it's a lot less like trying to hold on to something that's impossible.
We have these standards. There's a sort of positive vibes only. We've talked a little bit about this in past episodes, but I think that there's this idea that attaches happiness to, yeah, we're being successful in some way. And if we're not happy, then we're not being successful. And so we are taught to mask our what I would call undesirable to other people emotions. But let's look at why those emotions are undesirable to other people, because I have a theory about that. I think that when we see someone who is sad or suffering, it actually triggers a sense of powerlessness in us. If I can't help or fix or do something about it, I feel powerless. And now I'm uncomfortable with that person's discomfort. So I prefer them to be happy. And I don't think that we are taught to sit with people in their sadness and not try to fix it. I don't think that we're taught that sadness, darkness, depression even is like a normal part of being a freaking human being, and how to just sit with someone and not make them feel weird for being that way. So, holding space for others is one thing, but we have to learn to hold space for ourselves and say, oh, wow, hello, sadness, my old friend. What are you here to tell me?
What are you here to show me? I'm listening.
Yeah. Now, the other aspect of this, well, actually, before we get into the other aspect, let's talk about that. What do you think about that? Do you think that people are uncomfortable with other people's discomfort and they feel powerless?
Yes, I do. I take it a step further. I think people are uncomfortable with other people's emotions in general,
Yeah.
whether it's sadness or joyous or anything. It's like some people, and I don't know, I just outbursts, right, are uncomfortable for us as human beings. And I do think we were programmed that way for sure,
Yeah.
especially women. And I'm sure it's the same for men. I don't want to, I don't know enough to speak to men, but for us women, it's like, no, you need to be palatable, you need to be contained, you need to be controlled, and don't color too far outside the lines. So we've definitely been programmed that way. And I
I
do
love
think it's uncomfortable.
Miranda Lambert's song, "It Ain't Your Mama's Broken Heart," or "It Ain't My Mama's Broken Heart," and she says something about, "Go and fix your makeup, girl, it's just a breakup. Go and hide your crazy and start acting like a lady." But that's
Yeah.
right, gotta keep it together, and I think
Keep
that
it
we're all
together.
taught that there's some kind of nobility in that, but I think it's really just not wanting to be a problem, not wanting to be rejected, because we've never normalized emotions.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
here's the thing, I mean, we can't just run around being emotional all the time. It's not really appropriate to have a tantrum in the middle of your workday.
In the grocery store.
Yeah, but well, unless you're 4, but
Right.
in which case it's just standard. But I think that what happens is we suppress that in the workplace and then we just never deal with it. We go home and we numb it or we shove it aside or we might vent a little bit, but we don't ever process it. There is some kind of shame attached to having any emotion that we would consider undesirable. But in Baptiste yoga and yoga in general, there is a premise of the whole is the goal to experience the totality of life, the ups and the downs, the ebbs and the flows, the darkness and the light. And if we're not willing to experience our sad moments, our down moments, even like moments of judgment, and we might feel vengeful or all these things that are part of being a human being. If we don't allow ourselves to sit with those things, I don't believe they can pass. They get stuffed down and stored within us and become toxic.
One of the most profound things that I've learned recently is that emotions have an arc where they start, they reach like a climax or a top, and then they actually come down and they finish. But what happened for us when we were kids is we were so overwhelmed, or we potentially were so overwhelmed, we couldn't allow those emotions to finish. And obviously, maybe people around us didn't have that understanding. And so to cut off the emotion before it finishes, then it gets stuck in our nervous systems. And we're walking around now with like massive amounts of unprocessed emotions in our nervous systems. And so one of the things that I like to do is go back and process out some of what little Erin was thinking, right? So that's the inner child work that I do now. And what I was feeling to try to process that out and let those emotional arcs finish. And it's been pretty profound too with my children, like, I just let them finish now. I let them
Mhm.
finish their emotion, and crying is a big part of it, it's a huge part of it.
Well, there's
So
really I
that's
mean, yeah, I mean, like, I remember being embarrassed to cry until I was probably 40, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Now I couldn't care
totally.
less, I'll just talk through my tears, whatever. If someone else is uncomfortable, not my problem. Just But one of the things that I spend a great deal of time teaching people to do in our yoga teacher trainings is to sit with people in their pain, in their stories, and not give advice, not try to
Mm.
fix it, not try to figure it out, just to be with someone in their pain. And there is a great resistance to it at first. Everyone wants to rescue or fix or do something, and that's because of our own discomfort with someone else's discomfort. But there's a really great yogic story. Don't rake me over the coals if I get the details wrong. I don't want to like an email about it. It's just to illustrate this. So Prince Ram went through a very significant time of depression, and his parents were very worried about him. And they called in all kinds of sages and medical people and all of that, and eventually called in the great sage Vastista, and he sat with the prince for weeks and asked questions and spoke with him and talked to him, and then he left, and the parents were horrified. They said, "He's not better. He's the same. What's happened?" And he said, there's never been anything wrong. Darkness has its teaching."
Mm.
And I'm totally paraphrasing, but I mean, this is as old as yoga, like 5,000 years, this story existed. Darkness has its teaching. So let's talk about that. You said sometimes it's unprocessed emotions. So if we have a trigger and it creates sadness for us, there's an opportunity to be in inquiry about that. So there's two sides to that. One is this an unprocessed emotion? Is there something here that I haven't sat with and allowed it to go through its arc? And if so, could I give it some time and space? Is that valuable to is it really just what it is? Like go back into a memory, allow it to complete?
Yeah, absolutely. Like what would that little Erin say in that moment? What did she wanna say? How does she feel? And that was really when this is kind of a side note, but I realized how much anxiety I was carrying when I was, like, in elementary school. It was
Mhm.
it was overwhelming
Mhm.
for me then, and so to be able to go back and process that out has been a huge gift. But so it's just a matter of going back to that moment, allowing the feeling to come in and saying, "What do I wanna say? How do I feel about this? And what is the truth of how I feel about this?" And
Mhm.
let it process, let it move, and let myself move through it.
Really
So
good so that it
valuable,
can move because energy has to move, energy
so
flows,
valuable.
right? And if we're stifling something, holding it down, like, and I get it. If you're not in an environment where that's going to be welcomed, you might have to make some, get some better friends. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
You
don't know
know,
how realistic
find
it
a
is to
find a
do
great
that.
coach, find a therapist, someone that you can sit with and help you process those emotions. I've had rapid eye movement
Rapid eye
thing.
movement, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I found that really helpful for processing some old emotions at time. There's
Mhm.
lots of ways. And I want to add to this because yes, we want to process, but then we also have to check ourselves because we have habits that can lead us to sadness. There are maybe we win a prize for being sad and that's
Yeah.
why we go there. So
Uh-huh.
this is sort of a not the dark side of it, but it's valuable for us to shine a light and go, "Oh, sometimes we do that." So in order for any emotion to really occur in the now, 3 things have to happen. I have to focus on something. So I'm focusing on what I don't have, who doesn't like me, what somebody said to me, whatever that is. I put my attention on it. Secondly, we have a posture around that. We start to feel like we shrink. And that posture then sends more feedback back to the brain saying, oh, yeah, we're sad now. And then we create a language around it. Like, this shouldn't be happening. They shouldn't have done that to me. Basically, the language of victimhood is often
Yes.
present. Now, sometimes we might focus on something that creates sadness because when we're sad, we get out of doing something. Like, we don't have to show up as our best. We don't have to, um,
Take risks.
take risks. And so this is the portal I'm talking about and you were talking about. It's like there's no shame in that game. It's like, what need do I have that I'm not meeting that I feel I have to focus on this to take myself out
Mhm.
to avoid the thing I don't want to do? What needs do I have that are not being met? And can I meet them in myself in a different way? Because going to sadness over and over again, episodically when things happen that are sad, that's fine. But if we go to it over and over again, before we know it, we're in a loop of depression and anger.
You have to be careful, yeah.
And that becomes our way of being. And that's not really processing, that's fixating in order to avoid, like you say, taking risks. So I got three things that people can do. Number one, when you feel in the experience of sadness, like pause and go, what was I just focusing on? Was it a memory? And if it was a memory, maybe there's an arc that you need to complete there. Maybe you're focusing on what's wrong right now. And instead of focusing on what's wrong, you could look at it and say, huh, like, well, what's possible here? And that's not
Yeah.
bypassing it, it's just adding something to your focus. Secondly, get up and move your body because sometimes, I don't know about you, but if I sit at my desk for a long time, I'm like the shape of a question mark. And then I get up and I'm like, I'm feeling kind of gross. And I'm sad. Ugh. And you get
Yeah.
up and move your body and stretch, and all of a sudden you're not sad anymore. It's
Yeah.
like the posture triggered it. Thirdly, check your self talk. As soon as you're in this shouldn't be happening, someone shouldn't be doing that to me, I'm powerless, any version of that, we're going to go into sadness. So to check those things first, and it's not to say, I don't want to be sad anymore. It's to say, what is this really about? Do I have the power to shift it? Was it just a focus thing? Was it just a posture thing? Is it a habit of speaking? Or is there something deeper here? Is there a need that I'm not having met because I'm not expressing myself? I'm not asking for what I need, or I'm not giving myself what I need. I'm not creating boundaries. When you experience an emotion that would be considered undesirable by some, I think our invitation is to say, hey, what wants to be healed here? What does it want me to know? What does it want me to tend to that's untended in the garden of my soul? What are
I
your
love
thoughts
that.
on that?
Well, I mean, that's where I always go with it, and I find that if the emotion is overwhelming for me, then I actually can't just disregard it. Like, I can't just pretend it's not there and not work with it. However, there is a point in time where once I've worked with it and understood myself in it and understood, like what you were saying, what is the need that needs to be met here? At some point, it gets to be less sharp, like less touchy for me. And then I can say to when I'm feeling sad, this is just a habit and I can move beyond it. Like there comes a point in time where I can actually do that but I've already done a lot of work around what is this need in me and what does it mean and what do I need to give myself? It's usually what it comes down to. What
Yeah,
is the need that I need to honor in myself?
exactly. In order to, so let's talk about that's sadness, but then there's anxiety too. We often feel anxious. We could feel a lot of fear around something. What are some other sort of undesirable emotion? Well, anger. Some of us are taught not to have anger.
Jealousy,
Jealousy. Yeah.
doubt,
Uh huh. Doubt.
fear
Wow.
in general. I mean, that's all fear really, right?
So
Passive aggressive.
when we have any of those emotions, for instance, let's take doubt. I love doubt because there have been thousands and thousands of pages written on mankind's dance between dharma and doubt, like our purpose and our tendency to doubt. And we know doubt takes us out. So sometimes doubt is serving to protect us from taking a risk because there's unknown on the other side. But if we don't examine it, we just take the doubt as real and we keep ourselves small. So again, doubt is a portal to ask yourself, like, what am I afraid of on the other side? Is it just the unknown? Anger is a catalyst. It can make you move. Anger is also sad's bodyguard. So if I feel really angry about something, usually underneath that, I'm sad or I'm scared or I don't know.
Yeah, it's a protector.
Yeah. It's like somebody's coming to put their dukes up until I can figure this out. But if we just stay in anger, we never figure out what it is we're sad about. And then we wind up being angry people. And I don't know about you, but I don't think you make many friends if you're just generally an angry person.
No, definitely not.
You might
Anger
dominate people, but you don't make real friends.
Anger is so interesting though because once integrated, it's sacred, like boundaries. It gives you boundaries once you can understand it and integrate it.
Yeah, so if someone's really angry about something, maybe they're angry about what their mother-in-law did in like last Christmas or something.
Mhm.
So you can be angry and then keep that anger alive by speaking about how there was so much injustice. But that's not the kind of processing we're talking about. It's like, what's really going on here? Did I feel hurt? Did I feel unseen? Did I feel disregarded? Did I speak up about the need I have
Yeah.
around that? Did I give that person the opportunity to repair with me? Or am I keeping the anger alive so that I feel self-righteous and, indignant in some way and I feel superior? Like, that's
Can
a
use it
lot of
as a
times
weapon, right? It
yeah,
can
we
be a
use it as
weapon
a
against
weapon.
somebody else, which is comfortable, which can
Well,
feel comfortable.
totally, and in my experience, when we hold on to anger, what we're really looking for is significance.
But yeah, yeah,
Hold a gun to someone's head, you're the most significant person in a room. Well, anger is like a loaded gun.
yep. Yes.
And so when we're angry, oftentimes when we're holding on to anger, we don't feel like we're being heard. We don't feel significant or important in some way. And so we'll yell and we'll rage and we'll prove our point. So anger is also a portal to go like, what's really going on here? Where do I feel like I'm not being seen or heard or valued? And what's my responsibility in that? Do I need to create a boundary? Do I need to ask someone for like a request? Do I need to have someone attempt a repair at something? There is a way to work with the emotion that is constructive. But if we just let the emotion run us, it can be destructive.
Yeah. I think you already said this, but can you just repeat, like, so when we go off into making it a habit, say
Mhm,
anger, for example, and
mhm.
now we're using it against somebody and we're reliving it and we're talking about it, what are some tools right then and there that you use to pull yourself out of that or to see that?
In that moment, well, we can go right back to posture focus language, the triad of
Right.
emotion that, Tony Robbins
Yes.
teaches, and go like, well, what am I focusing on? How I've been wronged here? So then we can ask a really valuable question. Well, okay, so I perceive myself as being wronged. What else could this mean? What other aspects of this haven't I seen? To get
Perception shift.
curious. Yeah, a
I like
perception
that.
shift. I've been wronged implies that I am completely powerless. And
Mhm.
that's never the case. So I think that to interrupt anger and disrupt, if as a habit, we have to look at where is my habitual focus. And generally speaking, when we're angry, we're making other people wrong all day long. That's where
Mhm.
our focus is. We're putting our attention on what everyone else is doing wrong and feeding the fire of anger. Anger is interesting because have you ever had an interaction with someone who's really angry, and if you argue back, try to soothe them, do anything, it's like putting another log on the fire and they just get more angry?
Yes.
Anger has about 90 seconds of shelf life if you just shut up and you just listen to people. They spew it out and they can't stand the taste of it in their own mouth. But as soon as we say anything around it, it usually adds another log to the fire.
Right.
So if we can know that about ourselves too, maybe we feel angry and we process that through its arc and we let that burn out. And then we can ask ourselves, like, well, what was I focusing on? What does that? I'm making it mean something that's creating anger in me. What else could it mean?
Mhm.
What else is going on here? Where's my responsibility? Or where do I need to ask for what I need?
Mhm.
So it's really like disrupt the drift of the automatic. Because if it's a habit, if you have a habit of being angry, then you also have a habit of focusing on what people do wrong. If you have a habit of being sad, you probably have a habit of focusing on lack and scarcity and your powerlessness or your perceived powerlessness. If you have a habit of anxiety, you have a habit of focusing on what could go wrong.
Mhm. I'm
And the
sure.
focus is something that's within our control. So we want to welcome emotions, but then we also need to question them. Like there's such value in questioning them. Not just like I was just mad. It's fine. It's like, okay, well, what was going on? Why was I mad? What was that covering up? And then if I keep finding myself angry, what's that about?
Mhm.
Because that's a portal to a big shift in perception that could change your life. Oh, I used to be so prickly and compare myself to people in the bad way. I'm better than that person because, and they're so this and they're so that. And I was in this low grade state of anger all the time. And really, what it was I really had no boundaries. So it was a way that I created boundaries without having to create boundaries. I was just like, I don't like that person. I don't stand by those kind of people. I don't, I'd make myself self-righteous rather than just having conversations and expressing my needs. When I got down to it, like, why am I so angry? And I looked at it, it was just really I was lacking boundaries. So I put my focus on what everyone else was doing wrong.
Fascinating. Anger for me was also a catalyst
Mm.
for my spiritual work, for lack of a better term. I realized I was so angry. My parents had split up. I know this sounds crazy, but there's this whole thing about my parents splitting up. I was like 27 or 20. It was this whole thing. I know I was like almost 30, but there was some serious things that happened that were really hard to deal with at that time. And I realized I was just so angry all the time. So that was it was a moment, and anger was what catapulted me into all of this work,
Yeah.
understanding that I was so angry.
Yeah. But you used it as a portal. Like, why am I so angry?
I did.
And then you don't stay that way. And we get elevated from there into higher frequency emotions. But we have to see the usefulness of these emotions as unfinished business, essentially.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I
I
think
like
if we
that.
could leave people with that, that would be helpful. Look at what you're focusing on. Maybe you interrupt the focus. You check your language. Are you in the language of powerlessness? Maybe there's something you haven't completed and you can just sit with it and let that move through you and see what happens. But your emotions are great teachers. Your body has so much wisdom. And so, our invitation to you over these next weeks and the holidays, which can be highly emotional for people. And I think this year, Erin, honestly, everyone I know is broke. Everyone I know is
I know.
struggling,
I know.
not really looking forward to the holidays for one reason or another. And there's going to be, I think, a little more because the world is in turmoil.
Mhm.
And I think that it's valuable for people to be able to honor their emotions, look at them as teachers, have a couple tools to navigate those things. And if they want more help navigating them, come talk to Erin, come talk to me.
Yeah,
Find a coach, find a therapist, find someone who can help you with it because it's sacred work and it deserves your attention and it
absolutely.
can change your life.
Absolutely. Or else I'll take over.
Yeah, they'll take over.
Mhm.
Next time, we're going to talk about forgiveness because I think this is a holiday thing too. Forgiveness.
Yes.
There's a lot of forgiven that needs to be done or not done.
Yeah. We're not done.
Yeah. You, me and Brian are going to talk about forgiveness and what that's all about. And so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't got on the wait list for our Grit and Grace retreat in April, please do so. You can go to pamrader.com to find that. Yeah. And until next time, I hope that you found value in this little chat and that we've given you some tools to take maybe some grit and turn it into gold.
Turn it into grace.
Mm.
Bye, everybody.